Good morning and welcome back to the Football Terrace. Transfer plans have been revealed this morning by the Sunday World and Kevin Palmer on exactly how Chelsea are going to try and lure Erling Haaland to Stamford Bridge this summer. It makes for interesting reading and should also lay Chelsea fans' minds to rest over their decision to not pursue Hakimi any further, their decision to not bid above 50 million euros, their decision to not get into a bidding war, and of course the players that they're trying to get out of the football club, with Tomori being the first to leave, of course freeing up salary and raising over 24 million in transfer proceedings. We're going to go through his story in detail. We're going to give you the opportunity to call in and have your say as well. But one of the biggest talking points, the opening line here of this article from Kevin Palmer, is Chelsea are exploring the viability of a mega money move for Borussia Dortmund striker Erling Haaland this summer. Now, that viability is what we've spoken about many times on the terrace. Is it affordable? It could be somewhere in the region of a £500 million investment for this player. Even Chelsea, with their deep pockets and their fantastic owner when it comes to spending money, have to manage this correctly. It goes on to say, with Stamford Bridge insiders insisting reports that the Norwegian does not want to sign for the London club as wide of the mark. I've always had this belief that Chelsea are one of the clubs that Haaland wants to join. The ambition that Chelsea Football Club have, the level of trophies that they've won, the fact they're in the Premier League, I think is a big draw to him. And there have been many reports in recent days that Real Madrid are the only club for him. Real Madrid are the only team that he wants to play for. He's using everybody else, etc. There was a notion that I saw sort of tweeted the other day that because it was Barca and Real Madrid were the first teams that his father and Mino Raiola visited, that meant they were number one choice. But according to Kevin Palmer and his sources at Chelsea, Haaland is up for the move to Stamford Bridge, and he is up for that move this summer. But it's about Chelsea raising those funds. It's about Chelsea having the financial clout to get such a big... This isn't just a £100 million signing and 200 grand a week in salary. This is almost doubling the salary of their highest paid player at the football club, N'Golo Conte. It's raising a fee predicted to be somewhere in the region of £150 million. And when you read the article, the reason that that is important is because, of course, Dortmund are going to get about 75 million-ish for him next summer. But they believe, although Dortmund are saying that there is no way he's going to be sold, although Dortmund are saying there is no way that Haaland leaves in the same summer as Jadon Sancho, the belief at Stamford Bridge is if they can raise the funds, if they can offer the salary needed, they believe a bid of around £150 million would be so good and so hard for Dortmund to turn down that they could land Haaland in front of all of their rivals next summer. It does appear this plan is being put in place by the Chelsea officials to stop a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a PSG, somebody else who next year may be in a financial position to sign him from getting him. And it appears that Chelsea are prepared, if they can raise it, to spend above and beyond next summer's price to ensure that he is a Chelsea player for the foreseeable future. And do you know what? If I'm a Chelsea fan today, I would be so proud that my club are even trying to do this. I'd be so happy that my club are the ones that are trying to get this over the line. Of course, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. With Haaland, according to the reports from Kevin Palmer this morning, stating that, he would sign for that London team, agreeing to join Chelsea, of course, if the offer is right. And this is what happens at this stage of transfers. And I think I saw a tweet from Fabrizio Romano yesterday, which I loved, where he had a pop back at a fan of some sort. And he basically said, this isn't FIFA. Haaland, I think, has agreed to join Chelsea. He said, this is what I want. Will you pay it to me? Chelsea have said, yeah, we will. That's him agreeing to join. Real Madrid have probably said to him, we'd pay you that as well. So you go, fine, I'll join you as well then. It's just like the Hakimi deal. You can agree to join two clubs at the same time. Yep, that'll suit me fine. I'm willing to come and play for you. But it's about getting that offer on the table. And if that offer doesn't transpire, if you don't raise the funds or you change your mind, a player can go elsewhere. Haaland would like to play for Chelsea. Haaland is the dream signing this summer for Chelsea Football Club. Does it mean it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But this notion that he doesn't want to come and play in the Prem, doesn't want to come to Chelsea, Chelsea not working on it, I think he's wrong, personally. And on top of that, this element that Dortmund won't sell. Again, that doesn't matter how many people are here say it. I think a £150 million offer on the table changes absolutely everything. Changes absolutely everything. I'm going to go through some more of this article in a few moments' time. Do me a big favor this morning and hit that like button, please. Hit that share button as well. Terry, do you still feel confident that Sancho will sign for United after this new development? Yeah. Jadon Sancho is going to be a Manchester United player. As most people said, we may find an agreement is announced between Dortmund and Man United any day now. I think that'll be the long and the short of it. The official announcements and everything else will happen after that point. I love this here from Blue Moon. It says, breaking news. Villa agree with Grealish to let him leave this summer. Interesting indeed. Let's have a look at a few more of these comments that are coming through here. We have a super chat that's just come through, actually, that says, as much as I want this to happen, look at what Dortmund did to you guys with Jadon. There's a deadline for Chelsea before Dortmund's preseason starts. And you're absolutely right, Arjan. I think you're absolutely right. There is a deadline with Dortmund, and Dortmund are pretty good when it comes to that element. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But we're going to go through it now. We're going to look at the plan, okay, that Kevin Palmer has detailed here. He spoke to his contacts at Chelsea, and this is what he's produced, and this is what he has put out here. So I've read the first part out to you already. It goes on to say, initial rumors earlier this summer suggested Haaland had his eyes trained on a move to Real Madrid. But we can reveal that we've been told that the striker would be open to a move to the European champions Chelsea in this transfer window or in 2022. And as I've said, players can agree to join multiple clubs at the same time. Does he want to play for Chelsea? Yes, he does. But he also would like to play for some other teams as well. Haaland isn't a born and bred Chelsea fan as a kid, and it's the only team he wants to play for, and he won't consider anybody else. He's willing to go to the best team available to him. The teams that his father visited, including Man City and Manchester United, he would also join if the offer was right. He is essentially open to the highest bidder. Who are some of the biggest bidders and have got some of the deepest pockets in Europe? Is Chelsea. He goes on to say, while Chelsea officials believe the capture of Haaland will be difficult this summer, given the extravagant financial magnitude of any deal, the contract clause that will allow the player to leave for just 75 million next year could play into the hands if negotiations with Dortmund get underway in earnest. And that's to your point there, Arjan, that there is a deadline to this. But that 75 million euro buyout clause next summer is why Chelsea Football Club feel confident they may be able to get this done. I know it's hard, but there is a sense of confidence that we can get this done. Haaland would like to join. If we can raise these funds, we might be able to move this forward. It goes on to say Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel has targeted a top-level striker this summer, with Inter Milan forward Lukaku set to stay in Italy. Haaland has always been viewed as the dream signing by Blues owner Roman Abramovich. The German club are adamant they will not consider selling Haaland this summer, with Sancho's imminent move to Man United likely to relieve the financial concerns inflicted on the Bundesliga club during the global pandemic. Yet they may be forced to consider a deal if Chelsea can price together an ambitious summer transfer plan that will see a host of players leaving to fund the move. Now, this is the interesting part here. Goes on to say this was the first piece of the transfer jigsaw has already fallen into place, with Tomori joining AC Milan for 28 million euros, with a host of players also set to be put on the market by Chelsea. Olivier Giroud could also leave Chelsea. Could still leave Chelsea despite the club activating an extension in his contract. Of course, that extension's been granted because if they don't sign another striker, they don't want to get rid of all their strikers. Imagine you sell Tammy, you get rid of Giroud, and then you don't sign another striker. You're thin, right? He says, whilst Ross Barkley is another player expected to depart, Crystal Palace have expressed tentative interest in striker Tammy Abraham, along with West Ham United, but a decision over whether they will make a move for the England striker is still yet to be decided. Of course, keeper Kepa, Callum Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek are also set to be made available, with Chelsea confident they can raise over £100 million in sales, plus free up over £500,000 in salary per week, which they'll do. If they get rid of those players, I think they're freeing up about £600,000-700,000 a week in salary. And the majority of those players are not regular first-team starters. They believe a large chunk of this money can go towards the Haaland deal. Chelsea stepped back from a bid for Inter Milan defender Hakimi, as their priority signing is a top striker, with the former Blues star Joe Cole suggesting that Haaland is the player they should go for. And I think that's a real key point here for Chelsea fans when you read this article. I do believe there's an element of truth. Hakimi would have been a great signing for you. But is there any point as a football club hemorrhaging an extra 30 million euros on a player that isn't essential when you're trying to piece together enough money to pull off the biggest transfer deal in the history of the Premier League, and potentially, when you look at the overall player investment, maybe the biggest transfer outside of the Neymar deal? It's probably the biggest one since then. And I think that's what Chelsea are focusing on doing. They need a striker. Of course, they're working on alternatives. They have had conversations with Lewandowski's agent. Of course, the agent of Lewandowski, very, very close to Chelsea. There's a talk of the likes of Moreno. There's talks of Danny Ings. There's talks of Isaacs. Of course, Chelsea are going to be due diligent. Of course, Chelsea are going to have a contingency plan. They're a very well-run football club in this market. Does it mean Haaland is going to join? No. Does he want to join? Yes. He would like to join Chelsea Football Club. Will Dortmund sell? That remains to be seen. But most people involved in football think that if a sizable offer, a large amount of cash up front, and a deal somewhere in the region of £150 million, Haaland could be purchased this summer. Haaland would like to join Chelsea, as you already mentioned. It's interesting to see how this pans out and how this works for Chelsea Football Club. We have a poll currently running with 62% of you saying, do you think Chelsea will land Haaland this summer? 62% of you in the voting system think it is doable. As I've said already, I'll post a link for the article as well in the live comment section, so you can go and read what Kevin Palmer has said. As he stated in this, Haaland would like to join Chelsea. Chelsea have got a transfer plan that he has revealed they're putting together, where Haaland is for them the end goal, who they want to bring in. Let's go to some of your comments that are coming through here. We are going to also share the link for you to call up and have your say. That's been done now, and that's been put into the StreamYard call-in link on the Discord server. But do me a massive favor right now, just under 1,000 of you tuning in live. Please make sure you've hit that like button. That's to support the Football Terrace, of course, with one of the only football platforms that daily gives you the chance to phone up, have your say, discuss things within our community, and we really need your support. A big shout out to all of our brand new members over the past couple of weeks. It's been amazing to see the number of you that are signing up to our membership programs, with some amazing shows along the way as well that we're developing. Studio settings in place as well. The majority of the equipment, if you remember, you actually would have seen the pictures we put up on the community page the other day, and the shows that we're planning for next year, especially match reaction shows, I'm so excited about. So thank you to all our super chatters and to all of our members, because you are really making this possible. But everybody can keep supporting us by just hitting that like button, sharing the stream on their social media platforms as well. Josh here says, plot twist, Chelsea by Martial. Can you imagine? Terry, why are Chelsea only now concerned about finances? Success at any cost, apparently. Well, twisted, there's a success at any cost, and then there's bankrupting yourselves. No matter what, Roman Abramovich doesn't have the luxury of pumping in as much money as he likes. It's impossible to do that now with certain financial restraints. They still need to balance the books of the football club. They still need to manage the situation. So Chelsea will spend, but they still have to spend within the realms of the laws and the rules of the FA and the Premier League. So that's why they're having to do this. Martin says, let's go to comment here. Agents getting a steal, extorting clubs up and down. Seriously, I would love to have a Salah-like signing over and over again. I hear you on that. I do hear you on that. I do hear where you're coming from, signing players that you can develop. The problem you have is it takes the signings like Salah's, Mane's, etc. It takes years of purchasing, 2 or 3 years to develop a team that can challenge. Certain teams want to get there quicker. And then when you've got a player that's and I'm telling you now, if Mo Salah was delivering at a Dortmund, at a Bayern Munich, at a Real Madrid, at a Barcelona, and Liverpool wanted him, he would have cost a lot more than, was it £30 million? It was because he'd gone to a big club like Chelsea and then moved away again. it was seen as a riskier deal because he didn't deliver in the Premier League before. And I know Haaland hasn't delivered in the Premier League, but what he's delivered for a player of his age is he's broken world records. No player of his age in Europe has got to as many goals as quickly as him ever before in the history of records that have been kept. So you can understand why there is a massive premium. Plus, there's a fight and a battle. If 3 or 4 major clubs all wanted to sign Salah at the same time, that price would have gone up again. Also going to give a bit of a Liverpool update later on in the show. Lokonga update coming as well for everybody that is tuning in. Let's do a few more of your live comments here. Timothy says, I'm a Chelsea fan and I reckon that we will get Lukaku. That's an interesting one. A lot of people talk about Matt Hancock this morning. Yeah. Do you know what made me laugh about it as well? Suddenly this morning, we're all ignoring that it's the Sun that broke it. Like I've always said, we always dislike the Sun newspaper, and rightly so, until they print a story that we just have to get on. And then we just for a day, we ignore it's come from the Sun newspaper. And we're like, oh, I saw one guy I know, big Liverpool fan. He's put the picture, but he's cropped out the Sun part. I was laughing. I was like, brother, you're a joker, man. You're a joker. But yeah, look, he's in the mud and he should have gone a long time ago. And hopefully this is the final now in that coffin. Comment here says, it's definitely doable, but Dortmund are going to play hardball if Sancho is going to. Still think this deal is extremely difficult to do regardless of any agreements. I completely agree. And if you read Kevin Palmer's article, that's exactly what he pulls on. And that's exactly what he speaks about in this deal, that it's very hard to do. It's very hard to get over the line, but Chelsea are working on it. But where Chelsea fans need to stay relaxed, in my opinion, is Chelsea are not going to go into this deal and be blind. They're not going to go into this deal without any type of contingency. They're just not going to do it if you need strikers. But it will be, if you don't get a Haaland or a Lukaku this summer, I truly believe it will be I'm going to say Ings-esque. I think it will be a player that can help lead the line maybe for a year, who almost wouldn't mind being pushed aside for a Haaland a year later, would almost just be happy to be part of the setup at Chelsea. I think going for an up-and-coming star, a Martinez or an Andre Silva or a Isak who's been linked, I don't know if Chelsea would do that this summer because they still want that almost means you give up on getting Haaland a year later. I don't see why you would do it. It's a bit like with Manchester United. You know, I guarantee you Man United are hoping and praying that Haaland doesn't go Chelsea this year, because everyone's going for him next summer because the fee is £75 million. And he then becomes affordable to every big club in Europe. The salary is a massive issue. But at the end of the day, do you know what? The salary for Man United isn't actually that much. I don't think it's as big an issue as it is for Chelsea. Nearly half of his salary, Man United get made up by selling Lingard and Phil Jones. They earn so much money at Manchester United. And then if the Cavani was leaving at the same time, you had Cavani's salary, Lingard's salary, Phil Jones's salary. It's pretty much Haaland's. So 2 of those players don't play anyway. While Mata by then will be gone as well. You add those 3 or 4 salaries up, you can make it up. This is why Chelsea are trying to do it this summer. Everyone's going for him next year. Everyone's going in for him. And now he may not pick Man United over Chelsea, or if everyone offers the same deal, he may actually go for Real Madrid. But that's why Chelsea are trying to get it done now. They want to stop that from happening. And because Haaland and his team want a brilliant club, but they want to be compensated, it's a big driver for them. And fair play to them. They've got to earn their money. Doable for Chelsea. Hard, very hard, but definitely doable. We're going to start going to some of your calls now this morning. Make sure that like button is being smashed. Let's get this past 500 likes while we're live on the air, please, people. We've got Tom Little to come. We've got Abs to come. We've got Melvin to come. But we haven't had him on in a while. My guy, Mr. Anthony, is here. Just started his own YouTube channel as well, this young man has. Welcome back to the terrace, mate. How are you?
Very, very good, Terry. How are you doing?
Mate, I'm very, very well indeed. I'd love your thoughts on this Haaland news this morning, revealed by Kevin Palmer, that you've got a plan in action and you're working on a way of raising the money to put in this mega money bid for Haaland. Give me your thoughts.
First things first, Terry, I got to say I'm extremely proud about what Chelsea is trying to do here, because this is going to be an extremely hard deal to do, and it will take a long, long time to do it as well. Yes, I understand Dortmund will say that, yep, we have a deadline for this. However, if you're offered double the amount of money that you're gonna get next year, I mean, to refuse it, you got to be stupid. That, that's just my thought of it. But at the end of the day, what Chelsea is trying to do right now, I think it's very, very good because next season you'll have a lot more competition to deal with, and it might not be the ideal position to land this player. This season is much more easier because a lot of clubs do not have the funds to go for a player like that. And yes, you see so many players that are linked out of Chelsea as well at this moment. It's just a matter of time that we get rid of these players. And that's why we loan most of these players out as well, so that they can go and play for these clubs, get a little bit of exposure as well, and then at the end of the day, if they like them, they can buy them. Same thing happened with Mori as well. And it's not a it's thing is, Roman, how rich he is, he's not gonna spend money just for the sake of spending money as well. It is a business at the end of the day. We do have to realize it. And I was a bit sad when the Hakimi deal didn't happen. But if we are gonna go for Haaland and we are gonna go for Haaland strong, I don't mind the Hakimi is not coming in. It really doesn't bother me at all, to be honest. It's the best thing that could happen.
I completely get where you're coming from, and I think that it's Chelsea are not stupid. Does it mean they don't make mistakes? Does it mean they land every single player? Absolutely not. I think Hakimi was a deal they were looking at doing, but there's a limit. And there are other players that are available, and that's why they've got to be balanced when it comes to getting Haaland, because they've got other targets and areas that need to be filled, but they'll have limits for that. It's why there isn't this hard and heavy pursuit at this moment in time. The Euros is part of it as well for Declan Rice, because Chelsea, like Man United, do not have the funds currently to put in a 60, 70, 80 plus million pound bid for Declan Rice. Now, should Chelsea make this move for Haaland and Dortmund absolutely stand by their word and refuse it regardless of deadlines and say we're just not selling, then I think you may find Chelsea go, right, well, now let's go back and let's visit the Declan Rice thing, because actually we could drop 70 million pounds on him. Let's just say that's the figure. And because next year when we go back for Haaland, we don't need 150 million pound because it's 75 million. So that's why I think I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans in the last few days really panic around, we're not going to buy anyone. It's going to be like 2017 all over again. And I'm just sitting and thinking, listen, just relax. You're trying to land the biggest transfer deal in the history of the Premier League, the biggest financial commitment to a football player ever in the Premier League.
And tell me to add on to your
on that deal first. If that doesn't transpire, then I think you're going to go after other targets. And I think Chelsea are very smart. They know what's going on. There's no rush with all the other deals. There's no rush with all the other positions, because the majority of transfers have slowed down right now because of the Euros, because of Copa America, etc. Listen, Mr. Anthony, thank you for coming on and having your say, mate. Top man, absolute legend of the football terrace. Great to have you back on and you having your say. Next on the show, we're going to go to Melvin to have his say with us here. Let's do, because some of these comments, some of your comments do make me die, man. Comment here from August says 100 million plus 30 million add-ons just to see what Dortmund do. Absolutely. There will already be these preliminary offers going in. These, look, let's chat to an intermediary and suggest something. What would this do? The great news for Chelsea is Haaland wants to join them. Haaland would join them. Whatever way you want to twist that narrative, that rhetoric, the semantics, I'm not really that bothered about it. This is why we do what we do at the Football Terrace. It's cutting through the BS. It's listening to what's being said and being realistic with it. And I think that when I hear people go, nah, Chelsea ain't getting him, it's a really easy prediction to make, because they may not, because it's difficult. But don't act like Chelsea are not working hard to get him. And then breaking down how it's plausible, what needs to be done to get it. Understanding how transfer. I'm actually going to share the link for it. I've got to put it out there. And it's Fabrizio tweeted this yesterday. And I'm so glad he did, because sometimes people think transfers are like FIFA, legitimately. And he called someone out on this. And it just made me laugh, really, because I thought to myself, fair play to you for calling this. I think this is it here, actually. Yeah, here it was. So he tweeted out about the new Crystal Palace manager. And some guy called Maya responded with, "You've got so many calls wrong, Fab. What's going on this transfer window?" And he says, I see you're a Liverpool fan, bro. Konate wasn't a bad call. Obviously getting that right. He says, if clubs contact managers, agree, and then the situation changes, it's not my fault. I report what's happening. There is a work permit process going on for this manager. Fonseca was with the Spurs board in Milan. Part of the game, it's not FIFA. And it's a classy response. And it's a classy response because that's how things are. Right now, Kevin Palmer has reported on this news this morning. This is what he's been told by someone at Chelsea. It doesn't mean that Haaland won't end up this summer, next summer, a year later at Real Madrid. Stop taking everything as a guarantee to happen, as opposed to this is what is going on right now, and then you can formulate an opinion on it. If you don't enjoy transfer talk, mute transfer talk. Because for me, I love transfer talk. Do you know what I love about it? It's one, the business element. I'm a B2B commercial manager by trade. It's what I do. Business to business sales is my bread and butter. I love the hunt and the thrill of the chase. So detailing how clubs are trying to get deals done, love it. That's brilliant. I also love the twisting and the changing and the why. So it's look at Fonseca at Tottenham. Why are they changing their mind about all this stuff at the moment? I mean, fascinated about the decision-making process. And then you get the element of how would this player or manager impact our club? How would he make us better? That's what transfers always used to be about. Now it's almost this element of credibility. Who gets it right first time? That's so weird to me because Man United were like hours away from completing the signing of Pedro from Barcelona. And then Man United changed their mind at the very last second because Anthony Martial became available and LVG wanted him. No journalist who said the deal is close, the deal looks like it's going to happen, we're told United are completing this week. They were not wrong. Everything they reported to you at that time was 100% accurate, but the world changed. You know, once upon a time, the most educated people on planet Earth said that the world was flat. Do you know, once upon a time, DNA didn't exist because we didn't know it existed. Things change. And when you learn new things and new things are discovered or plans change, the way you look at things, it doesn't mean they were wrong, but it's like they didn't know they were wrong. And it's like if Fabrizio gets a message today saying, listen, Chelsea are about to put a bid in for Haaland, and he tweets, bid going in today for Haaland, and then Roman changes his mind. It's not on Fabrizio. He didn't know they were going to change his mind. I think we've got to relax a little bit as football fans and just enjoy the ride. That's all I'm saying there. We have another super chat that's come in here that says, I know some of you, by the way, still think the world is flat. I know some people still believe that. You're allowed to have your beliefs, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't think Man City will sign a striker this summer, and I don't think Haaland is moving this summer. Next summer will be Haaland to City. That could happen. Spurs are going to get relegated, is what Martin said. That could happen. Hugo says, this guy is so deluded. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the love as well. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. If you need a hug, if you need a pep talk, give me a DM. I'll show you some love, my friend. Life will get better. I promise you, Hugo. Keep smiling, my friend. Keep fighting through the hard days, and you will get them, my brother. Big up yourself. Haaland to Chelsea, maybe next summer, is what Ian believes. He could be right there. It very much could be next summer. Let's keep going through it. Terry, Erling, Brut Haaland, and Kylian Mbappe should both join Real Madrid. Can you imagine if that happened? Can you imagine if both joined Real Madrid? Whew. And by the way, don't put it past Real Madrid to not be working on that at the same time. This is the thing when it comes to transfers. Multiple clubs can be working on the same types of deals at the same time. It's who lands them. Do you know what I mean? It just is what it is. It is what it is. How many of you think the world's flat, by the way? I need to know. How many of you think it's flat? I'm seeing people go, it is flat, Terry. Terry is not a smart fella. Atrocious examples. Now, I think they're pretty spot on, to be fair. I think they're pretty spot on. You know, today we believe something because it's what we're told by the most informed people. But tomorrow something can change. Something new can be discovered. So the world changes. So the facts of what's going on or the facts change. That's life. facts change. Do you know what I mean? It just is what it is. But my brother, as I've already said, big love for watching the channel. Big love for commenting. Life will get better, my friend. Life will get better. Life will get better. The world is a cube. Yeah, my guy Neeks here says, anyone who thinks the world is flat is an idiot. Yeah, I said it. It's egg-shaped. It could be egg-shaped. Can you imagine? There we go. It's a sphere. I like that. The world is flat. I love that. I love it. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Terry, which club would be best for Haaland's career going forward? I don't know. I don't know which would be best. I think Chelsea would be amazing. Man City would be amazing. I think we're already in it, but I think we're on for a little 3 or 4 more year period right now where the English clubs are going to dominate Europe, primarily because we just have superior finances compared to everybody else. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say. That is what I would say. Raven, my guy, I'm not putting that comment up, but listen, nice try. Dead banter, my friend. Dead banter. Dead banter. As I said, give me a DM, bruv. Send me a number. I'll give you a call. We'll have a chat. Cheer you up. Cheer you up. The StreamYard link is available in the Discord server. There is a chat room that's set up specifically for that. If you want to come in and have your sale, post it in the live comment section. If you don't use Discord, but you should get yourself across that chat room. It is the best. Right, next on the show, we're going to go to Melvin and have you say, morning, sir. How are you?
Yo, morning, man. How are you?
I'm very well. What's your take on this news this morning about Haaland to Chelsea?
Straight up annoyed. You might see, Dortmund fan.
Okay,
you guys taking all our players, man. It's getting annoying. But
let me ask you. Sorry, let me just ask you this question as a Dortmund fan. It's interesting you support Dortmund. If Chelsea put out 150 million pounds on the table before the deadline, let's say when pre-season starts, do you think your club would accept that?
I don't know. There are multiple factors, of course, because if we accept it, well, I think we should. But on the other hand, we might not make Champions League next year because then we lose. We probably lose Sancho to your team, and we lose Haaland as well. Our main goal contributions, all our goals are gone. And every player we want to get, they put like an extra 50% on it because we have the money. Because we sold them, we have like 250 mil then. And if we get like a 10 mil player, give us 16, something like that. So it's a bit on 2 ways.
I agree with you. I think it's, do you know what it is? Your answer is how I feel. I don't really know. I just want to see what they would do. You know, there is always that adage of, you know, what would you do for £1 million? I could say something to you now, like, I don't know. Would you walk to the next room and punch your dad in the face right now for £1 million? You would probably say, I don't even know if you live with you. Let's say your dad's in your house. If I said to you now, I'll give you £1 million cash to go punch your dad in the face. Most people would say, no, I wouldn't hit my dad in the face. If I actually put £1 million in front of you, you don't know what you do.
It's done easy.
You knock him out, right? Sorry, dad, by the way. Sorry, dad. But like, I think Chelsea need to put this bid in to test the water, to see what the response is like, to see whether it is doable. Otherwise, they'll never, ever know. And I suppose from a Dortmund point of view, it depends who comes in to replace him. Because, you know, if for instance, I'm surprised they didn't go in and look at someone like Patson Daka. Maybe they did. Like if you were signing Patson Daka as a replacement for Haaland or something along those lines, I still think he could score enough goals for you. If you had Patson Daka coming in and Hudson-Odoi coming in to replace Sancho, I don't see what the issue is. I think that would be enough firepower to still get you into the Champions League, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would take that. I would definitely take that. I was already at the start of this window. I was like, get him in then.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
sell Haaland for like what 150. I don't know what they're gonna give for like a 100 plus Cho, something like that.
Yeah, on another Dortmund player, Jadon Sancho. What's your current take on everything in relation to him? Because what's the news like out of the sort of local Dortmund press and coming out of Dortmund right now? Is that deal likely to be concluded in your opinion soon?
Yeah, it's similar. Well, it's a bit both. Both parts are confident. It's like we are confident in selling him. You're obviously confident in getting him, and I think we should let him go. Uh, he honored his contract. I think he extended last year as well, 1 more year. He played great. Didn't go on strike like some other player who wanted to go to Barcelona a few years ago. Did loads of work this season, so I respect it. He wants to go, let him go.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, buddy, thank you very much for calling us, Melvin, and having your say today. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me on.
Speak to you again soon. Top man. Thank you very much indeed. Make sure that like button is being smashed this morning and that you subscribe to the Football Terrace. We're closing in on 196,000 subscribers here. Be amazing if you could do that for us. The earth is triangular, is what Wayne says this morning. But there we go. There we go. As I say, facts and information change all the time. And transfer stories are even more sort of wishy-washy because you're only going based on information from sources at clubs and the world changes. So stop going after the journalists and understand the way the world works. Do you know what I mean? How many times a day do you change your mind? That's essentially what it is. Mr. Anthony here with a super chat says, Terry, Chelsea fans need to chill as well. We have been spoiled. We have a wonderful squad where we can still be competitive. So we have nothing to worry about. I do hear you on that. I really do. Isak can go back to Dortmund for 30 million. I mean, that's an option for them. Itest would love that. Itest would be over the moon with that. He'd say, there you go. Told you he's better than Haaland. He's his replacement. That's what he would say. Sancho deal, not so desperate. United fans for a bench player. I love Alex. Do you know, I didn't reply. I saw a tweet got sent to me the other day. I never basically saying, Terry, will you finally admit you were wrong about how good Bruno is because he's been dropped from the Portugal team? And I thought, so 144 goal contributions in the last 3 seasons from a midfielder is suddenly undone because of a bad couple of games or a bad month. But that's how football opinion is now. It's like people doing with transfers. Definitely not happening. So when it doesn't happen, they can say, see, I told you. People almost just, they hedge their bets. What's more likely to happen? I'll bet that on transfers. When it comes to players, it's like literally you've had one of the best creating and goal scoring midfielders for 3 years running. He has a bad couple of months, and that bad month is where people go, see, I told you he was rubbish. It's so warped to me. It's such a warped way of looking at things. By that logic, every player pretty much goes for a bad period. It's like saying Eden Hazard was never as good as Chelsea fans said because he'd been dead for this last couple of years. Taking away the context, taking away bad form, taking away injuries. Okay, cool. So Lampard scored all them goals. But if we find 2-month periods where he was quiet in his career, to those like it's over a 20-year career, you go, right, well, these 2 months here in 2017, and this month period here in 2013, and this 3-week period here in 2006, he was pretty average. So based on those 3 very small windows, every other achievement is thrown out the door. Football fans have become weird, you know, like legitimately weird on how they assess football. It's just, it's a madness. It's an absolute madness. Next on the show this morning, we're going to get man like Tom Little. Good morning. Welcome. What do you want to say, buddy?
It's tough when you're seeing all the rivals going, oh, we're gonna get £100 million player, you know, Jadon Sancho, what most creative youngster ever going to United. Yeah, we're interested in John McGinn. The Patrick Bamford links will come back soon.
I'm glad
we're supposed to be confident in it.
Well, I'm glad
tried to
be
positive.
We were going to update on them today. Again, I am trailing through the Liverpool tier ones, through every publication I can, and I'm seeing there's loose links to Tielemans, but nobody is sure that's going to happen. I'm seeing John McGinn links. I saw a link earlier this morning I was reading, and it was for a Christian Romero as an example. But I know Liverpool keep their cards close to their chest. What is the feeling amongst Liverpool fans right now towards your transfer window and the approach that FSG are taking?
But all right with Canate. You know, Canate is a good signing. He's a great young centre-back, but it's just there's a lack of depth, lack of quality depth, really. We've got good depth in the midfield, but the attack, we're going to lose Salah, we're going to lose Mane. I'm not ready to have a title challenge derailed because Divock Origi doesn't know how to score when he's chucked out on the left wing. The owners, they've gotten lucky. I'm going to put it out there. They've gotten lucky with Jurgen Klopp. They appointed him. He was the right appointment. They've gotten lucky with just how good he's at developing players. Because no other manager in world football turns an £8 million left back from Hull, a relegated player from Stoke, a relegated player from Newcastle, a Premier League flop from Roma, a Southampton left winger, a Hoffenheim central midfielder that converted to a striker. No other manager in world football turns that into a Premier League. But when our owners got that success, they decided, all right, we're sound. Let's just chill on it. Let's just sit on it. That's not how it works. This isn't like the American sports where the league stays the same. There's no major changes for a couple of years. You can have dynasties. Football's very volatile in that sense. And if our owners just seem very complacent once we hit the jackpot, and it's happened time and time again under them, and it's going to happen again. And we're going to be punished this year when AFCON happens and we start drawing games and losing games that we should normally be winning because we've just got no attacking firepower. I want that to change. I want us to go out there and get an attacker, but I just don't see it happening.
I did read a different article yesterday, I think, via Anfield Central, that they feel that there may be a free run at Kylian Mbappe. Again, I'm only reporting what's being said by publications. And I know
if we had serious owners, we could do. We're in such a good position to, with our manager, with the squad we've got, with the way we're advancing the stadium, the new training facilities. But our owners just, they don't care about the success of the club. They care about the green number at the bottom of their end-of-year financial reports.
So on that, Tom, and I don't want to misrepresent what's been said, I really do remember, I really think it was last summer they said about this summer, and then in January they said about this summer, like expect, I don't know what the words were, but it was almost expect big things.
They're having a quiet window because they're planning something big. It was
I've heard that a few times. I don't know when I heard it, but I've heard that on a couple of occasions. Is patience wearing thin with Liverpool fans towards this kind of watered down commercial PR type statements from FSG and Liverpool?
I could go through countless ones they've done, Terry, countless wrong things they've done. One of the ones that stand out to me regarding transfers is the day after the Champions League final, Sky Sports get John W. Henry on for an interview. His words were, this is just the start. Expect big things this summer. We're going to strengthen the squad. Our signings that summer were Harvey Elliott, Sepp van den Berg and Adrian. I don't get how that's strengthening the squad and big things. They've done so many wrong things, but they get away with it. And they will continue to get away with it.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If this was happening at Man United, our fans would be calling the manager a yes man and a Glazer puppet for not publicly standing up in a press conference and slamming them and condemning them, how fans want. What's the feeling and emotion towards Jurgen Klopp like? Is it one of sympathy because he's not being given what he wants? Or are people starting to get frustrated with him because he's not speaking out against these owners?
It's sympathy. You know, he has tried, he's very watered down because obviously it's a dodgy area to go into, slagging off the people who, employ you. But he has voiced this pleasure, especially this January, the lack of signings. He was able to get a centre back. He wanted Duje Kaleta-Kar, and he was given Ozan Kabak. And the craziest thing about that was, if Joel Matip hadn't have broken his foot, I think it was a broken foot or a broken ankle, we would have went into the second half of that season not signing Ozan Kabak or Ben Davis. We would have went in there with Nat Phillips and Reece Williams as our only centre-back options. And that was like the final, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, really, with my patience for them anyway. I don't know about others. I know that there's a lot of fans who are very lenient with them because they brought the Premier League back for the first time in 30 years. No, them players did. Them players that won us the Champions League did. because they got no help afterwards.
About that, Tom, and I do get, I totally get why people support Jurgen Klopp, because he's a legend of Liverpool. Now, there's no doubt about it. But it's I look to who I look at, and I think fans need to be more stronger with. It's the journalists close to your club who push the narratives out. So you look at signing Konate is a brilliant piece of business because he's worth so much more than £36 million. It was a great bit of business for Liverpool to go and get done, in my opinion. There's still question marks over the fitness levels that people have. And I don't think he could have done 10 medicals and people are still going to question it. Until you see him play over a 2 or 3 year period and he isn't getting injured regularly, then that's when people will believe that the injury problems are past him. But most Liverpool journalists that I follow, and I'm not going to name any, but they are so positive about everything. They're always belittling other clubs. If this, like, so for instance, they all started belittling Arsenal yesterday because they were spending 50 million on Ben White, and it was a case of, well, and we got Konate for 36. We're better than you, and I'm sort of sitting there thinking, but you're not looking to strengthen. That was only because of a buyout clause. If Konate wanted to join you because you're Liverpool Football Club. If there wasn't a buyout clause, you'd have spent 70, you'd had to spend 67 million pounds on him and you would have walked away. I don't really get what you've got to like gloat about in that regard. And then it's this element of when you sign Kabak, I didn't believe he was the number one target, but I started reading all these articles how he's been on the transfer.
Don't get me started, Teddy.
He's a top guy. Like we had Ram come on the show and just blurt out that rhetoric to us as well. I'm sitting there thinking, why every time Liverpool do something, do people drink the Kool-Aid?
If you go by our journalists, every single player in World Football has been on Jurgen Klopp's shortlist for 4 years, and we've scouted them all intensely. It's a load of it's just a load of crap. Ozan Kabak was 5th choice last summer because our owners wouldn't pull their finger out and actually spend £20 million on a centre back. Probably because we had Konate in mind, so that is relatively fair enough. But the journalists just shut down every transfer story. Thiago last year, I've never seen anything like it. James Pearce, all them lot going, Thiago won't happen. It goes against the transfer policy, this, that, and the other. Then he signed, and it's, well, we knew Thiago was going to happen. It's been brewing since the start. You know, they've been working away at it all summer. It was just a matter of time. I think it was years ago, the Conor Plianka story around 2014, when that got leaked out, when we were trying to go for him. And Ian Ayre, who was our transfer director at the time, got sent to Ukraine. We couldn't get it done because it got leaked and they were up in the asking price. And ever since then, you haven't been able to get solid stories out of them. So I think they're being told by Liverpool, we're not having that again. You're very quiet on it. You can have rumours.
And I think, Tom, it being quiet about transfers is fine. But it's, as you say, it's always just because, again, what nearly always happens when Liverpool sign a player, within 24 hours, not naming no names, but an article comes out and it's nearly always, we beat Man United to this player. And it's like, but everyone buys into it. And my view is this, people buying into this PR thing like on every single transfer are mad. But when what I see is behind the face and the mask, everyone saying, "Oh, we're really happy. We beat Man United to a player that none of us really want." I can see behind the smiles, and there's, why aren't we spending proper money? Why aren't we bringing in better targets? Why aren't we like? It's almost like, stop. I know you want to be supportive. I'm not saying go full protest on your club, but then I just feel like there needs to be this happy balance. And as you say, like the Mbappe deal was always a pipe dream. It was always a hard one to bring in, but it was one that, the amount of times that's what it's spoken about with the new Nike. I mean, where's the money from this new Nike deal?
I don't know.
Where's the fucking money? Like,
biggest kid deal you've ever seen, and what have we got for it? To Kareem Minamino. Yes, what a signing.
And the point is, but I know. Listen, right? This is what's mad about it. A lot of people say it's been a global pandemic, so I totally understand. Match day revenue has dropped, TV revenue dropped to a degree. Most industries in the UK, for instance, the car industry, the housing industry, the boom. My brother runs a restaurant, right? He said the volume of covers they are now doing per day, they've never seen anything like it since lockdown ended. Yes, there's this element of like people just want to get out and do things. But a lot of people have got more excess cash now than they've ever had before. In my previous job that I left before doing YouTube full time, I literally dealt in personal, like part of our work was personal digital transactions. The increase in usage is mad. Of course, some people have suffered very, very bad financially. I'm not putting everybody into this category, but people have money. People have money. If they're buying Liverpool merch, if they're doing it, where is all that 20%? I'm not saying there hasn't been a downturn. I want to see the facts on it, because all I was told, and I was jealous as a Man United fan, I'm like, why don't we ever, like, they're earning 20% for every shirt sale. Millions of shirt sales at 80, 90 pound a kit. That's like 18 pound a shirt you're making. If you sell you're selling more than 1 million shirts a year as a football club. How many are you selling? 20, 30 million? That should be, that's 100. Where is it? I just want to know. I want to understand.
There's so many things about it, Teddy. We had like the most prize money ever for winning the Premier League, the most prize money ever for winning the Champions League, that Redbird investment group. But it's the narrative we get pushed is, oh, COVID's, we've got no money, but we can't afford these signings. And the narrative that people like to push to defend FSG's, oh, remember when they came in though after Hicks and Gillette and saved us? Yeah, they did come in and save us, but they weren't the only ones. There were 4 people interested. They were just there first. And they've done the bare minimum and reaped all the success.
Listen, I totally understand, mate. And as I say, look, Liverpool can run their club however they want. On a personal level, on like a fan level, I'm not bothered. But there's just this element of what I see, and I don't follow it as closely, Liverpool fans. And this is why I love speaking to people like yourself, being educated on this. I see a story saying groundbreaking deal. It means we're going to catch our rivals financially, blah, 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 blah. And then we see nothing. We don't see any fruits of that labor. Now, I understand no match day fans is costing it's costing millions of pounds, but it's costing everybody the same. But they have this new, I thought this new kick deal was I want to know about the 20% thing. I want to know how real it is. And
we
maybe,
all want to know.
Just
we
maybe,
all want to know, Teddy.
It wasn't quite as it seems. Maybe it's only Liverpool shirts that are sold in Liverpool stores. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Maybe it isn't quite, because what we were quoted is all Liverpool branded Nike merchandise. You must have sold 150 million units in the last year. Just in Liverpool alone, how many shirts are sold a year? Half a million? A million? Well, then you've got shorts, you've got socks, you've got kids' kits, you've got, I don't know how many. Training gear. You must have sold a worldwide 100 million units. Where's the 20% of that? How much that come to? For me, if I'm a Liverpool journalist and I'm talking to Liverpool, I'm asking these questions because the fans want to know. I just feel like too many Liverpool fans are a little bit afraid to put their head above the precipice. I think too many Liverpool fans are afraid to ask those questions because it's communist Merseyside from a football stat. It's like, how dare you say that? It's paradise here, and in paradise, nothing bad happens. That's how I feel. It's like if I see a Liverpool fan be a little bit negative, it's like the whole of Liverpool Twitter goes, stop this now. We do not air our dirty linen in public. It's like, yeah, but how are we going to get to the truth unless we ask these questions? I find it warped. Warped, I do. It's warped, I tell you, my friend. It's warped. Tom, thanks for coming on, having your say, mate. I really appreciate it. I didn't think I felt that passionately about this. Top man. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in. I don't get it. Where's the money? It can't have all just gone. 20%. Let's have a look at this now, right? How many shirts do Liverpool sell? Wow. Okay. Liverpool shirts sold. Okay. This was in the Okay. So this is in the UK. Is this in the UK? Shirts. Okay. Not as many as I thought, actually. So Manchester United had the highest shirt sales or soccer shirt sales in the world at 3.2 million units. That's shirt sales. Liverpool's is at about 1.6 million. Okay. That was in June 2019. So maybe, but when I'm talking about units, right, I'm talking shirts, I'm talking socks, I'm talking training gear, I'm talking water bottles, lunch boxes, all these things, right? How many units are they selling? It's got to be a lot. It's got to be a lot. That's one statistic. Let's look for some other statistics. I want to see if I can get that right. New shirt sales, 1.3 million. That's in the UK. Wow, that's absolutely brilliant. Man City's only 500,000. I want to know the figures, and the reason I want the figures is because I could be way off. I could be way off with my assumptions about how many shirt sales they get. But based on that alone, right? Let's just say they're selling 1.5 million a year. How much does Liverpool shirt sell for now? Let me just see this new Liverpool shirt. Right? I want to know 2021-22, the brand new shirt. How much it cost? On average, about £70. Right? So let's just say £70. This times that by 1.6 million. Okay, that's global. It's 112 million pound of income just on shirts. That's minus that 20%, right? So 20% of that, that's still 22 million quid on shirts alone. 22 million. Where's that gone? And then I want to know about socks. I want to know about shorts. I want to know about all these things. I want to know about every single one of them. Where's it going? Lunch boxes. I just want to know. I want to know. I just want to understand it. Because that deal wasn't here and in place when the pandemic started. So if you're making an extra 22 million pound a year, and that's profit, by the way, that's just given to you. Nike had to give it to you, right? Where's it gone? I'm ignorant on this because I don't know, but I'm confused because I thought it was meant to change things. And I know there's not been match day revenue, but everyone's lost match day revenue. That's why the values of players has dropped by an average 27% across Europe, because clubs on average have lost about 27% of their income. So if the values dropped with players, it's offset. Unless I'm dumb. I don't know. Maybe I'm thick. I'm so confused. Jadon Sancho was a 120 plus million pound player before the pandemic kicked in. United are picking up for about 80 mil. That's 40 million pounds saved. Man United's match day revenue, I don't know what they bring. Hang on. Man United match day revenue, right? I'm using Man United as an example here because what we're saving on a player, right? Match day revenue, 100. Our match day, see, this is what's crazy. Our match day, remember, revenue is not profit. Match day revenue is about 80 million pound a year for Manchester United. It cost about 30 million to run it. So you're looking at profit, and this is very basic accounting. You're looking at profit of about, say, 40 million. We just saved 40 million pound on the Sancho deal. That's offset. That's offset now because of that. Lo and behold, what we're saving on Sancho is about what we've lost on matchday revenue. So based on that, where's the money, FSG? I just want to know. Anyway, I digress. Stadium expansion is covered by a third-party investment group, Redbird. There we go. Right, who's next on the show? I'm going to go to Abs. What are you saying, Abs?
Terry, well, I'm about to cheer you up because I've seen a bit depressing, to be fair, but obviously, you see what it is. Just before I go on Haaland, I think Jurgen Klopp is suffering very similarly what Arsene Wenger suffered years ago with the Arsenal owners, where basically he was maintaining success, which he shouldn't necessarily have been with regards to the amount of money he was getting, and he wasn't backed properly. But yeah, anyway, with Haaland, you see what it is. You said it earlier, right? If we bought him this summer, it'd actually be a more proactive move instead of buying him next summer. Because next summer, for example, you said it's 75 mil, everyone's going to be after him. The one thing that does worry me is the Madrid factor, because everyone's talking about saying, Madrid, they're in financial issues. You know, they've got a very aging squad. But if you deep it for a minute, imagine going to Real Madrid to play with Kroos and Modric, two of the best midfielders to ever grace football. Carlo Ancelotti, a serial winner. The man's won, 3 Champions Leagues? That speaks for itself on alone. So that's, one thing that could worry me. But the thing that does give me a bit of hope is that we are a well-run club. We do look like we're having a vision where we potentially could win a couple Premier Leagues in the next few years and potentially another Champions League, even though we won one last year as well. So that could potentially sway Haaland to come. And also the fact that he gets to play under Thomas Tuchel, which I think a lot of people aren't taking into too much regard. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see. But I think what the club's doing right now in general is better than, for instance, waiting till next year, because everyone's going to be going for him.
Yeah, I think it's the right approach to try and sign him this year. We all know it's going to be difficult, but it's definitely the right way. to behave and act going forward. There's no doubt about it. Listen, Abs, thank you very, very much indeed for coming on, having your say. I really appreciate it. Quite a few Liverpool fans are saying here, listen, I'm always up for listening. So there's so much going on at Liverpool FC that if you look closer, you can understand. And I'll do that. I'll go and do some more research on it. But you can still be transparent. Let fans know, listen, you won't see as much investment over the next 3 or 4 years. But it's because we're building X, we're building Y, we're building Z, and that's going to lead to and that's going to lead to this result, which will enable us to do more of what you want. That's all I think fans really care about. It's this element of explain to us why. But when you say things like we're going to have a quiet summer this year because next year is going to be huge, or we're not going to do much in January because we've got like massive plan for the summer, you have to deliver on that. That is what makes people skeptical. That is what makes people skeptical. You know, the lack of transparency. And as you say, there are loads of little things going on, stadium extensions. And yes, there's an investment group that have done it. When do Liverpool pay that money back? How do they pay that money back? What does that come out of? As an example, when are they expecting their yield? No investment company invests in something unless they're getting something back from it in some way, shape, or form. So I will do my research on that, absolutely. And if you can put me in the right direction, I'll do it, because I'm not stuck in my ways. I want to be educated. I want to learn. I want to know how to do things. Because right now I'm very, very confused by it. Terry, have you heard about £100 million bid from City for Grealish? No. Where's that news? Send me a link. Man, like ready, ain't seen it ages. Send me a link. I'm getting Leslie on the show next. Leslie's a Chelsea fan. I know that because he's in a Chelsea shirt. Morning, mate. How are you?
Good morning. How I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Football Terrace. Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem, my friend. Thank you for supporting us and watching. What do you want to say this morning?
Yeah, I just wanted to express that I'm a little bit concerned about performance so far in the transfer window. You see, Achraf Hakimi, I'm sure you've heard, is set to join PSG or about to join PSG. So I don't want this to be like a repeat of 2017, summer 2017, where we didn't get like any of our targets, like where we ended up getting, second class targets. We ended up getting, like, for example, Morata instead of Lukaku. And yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned, and I just hope, I don't know, I just wanted to hear what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Haaland deal would happen? Or, I mean, I know there are talks, but there's no official offer that has been made. That's my understanding. So what's your take on this? Do you think that we're going to have a step back, or what are your thoughts?
I think with the Hakimi situation, I think there's always this element of a club will stand by its valuation of a player. And I think it's very sensible, and it gets overlooked a lot by football fans because we often don't want to look at it from the financial element or the business element. And a big part of being controlled in finance is by sticking to your guns. Being respected is sometimes you have to fall on your sword to a degree and lose a deal, lose a player to maintain a level of integrity. So in the previous company that I worked for, we viewed ourselves as what we provided as a service. We viewed it as premium. And there's lots of companies where you can go. The example we would give is you can go and buy a Ford Cougar wherever that's great. We're a premium Range Rover. Our product is better. Our product is more efficient. Our product is smoother. Our product will make your company better, but there's a premium you pay for it. And if somebody wasn't prepared to give us what we felt our product was worth, we would walk away from that deal. Even though we could lower our price by 30% and still make some money, we stood by our guns. That enabled us to operate in a particular market. But you have to be strong at times, because you can sometimes go 3, 4, 5 months without signing a deal because people said, no, you're too expensive. But we had to maintain our integrity and say, well, we know our worth. That in the end led to signing gargantuan deals, brilliant for the business, quadrupled the company's income inside 18 months. Chelsea Football Club are very good at doing that as well. So they'll say, listen, them not signing Hakimi and not being bullied or persuaded to get into a massive bidding war, spending an extra 30, 40 million on a player that isn't a necessity, that then stops them from being able to maybe sign Haaland, that's bad business. As a Man United fan, we moaned for years that we didn't get a number 1 target or our second target. We'd end up signing our 5th or 6th target that the manager didn't even want for 30, 40 million pounds. It was hemorrhaging money. Sometimes for Chelsea, over a medium-term period, walking away from the Hakimi deal because they were asking for too much money will actually give you more success in the medium to long term in the transfer market, because it demonstrates your strength, it demonstrates your seriousness, it demonstrates your power in the market. And being powerful in a business environment when it comes to negotiations doesn't mean you always win. Sometimes it means you walk away, but you maintain that level of integrity. In this case, well, we don't think he's worth that much. We're going to walk away. We're not going to yield on things. So you are definitely working on this Haaland deal. I believe that's 100% true. I do believe you're looking at players like Declan Rice, but it's about weighing up how much money you're going to have available and then prioritizing what you need as a club. For instance, Declan Rice, I don't think it's a bigger priority as a striker. You've got a very good midfield. So why spend 80 on Rice and then maybe not land Haaland this year, when actually you're a player putting the ball in the back of the net is the most important thing for Chelsea. So it should be looked at as primary for me. Listen, buddy, great call. Thank you for coming on and having your say.
Thank you very much.
That, absolute legend. Thank you very, very much indeed. Top man.
Cheers.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. I don't think Nike do lunch boxes. They might not. I was being a little bit sarcastic when I was saying that. But hang on, let's see though, right? I'm going to Google it now, right? I'm going to put in Nike Liverpool lunchbox. So far, let's see if there is one. I don't know if they're Nike or not. Liverpool definitely do them. Liverpool lunchboxes exist. Is there Nike tick on them? No, so they don't. I don't know what they do and don't sell. I haven't spent a lot of time researching Liverpool merchandise. We've got Liverpool only, which is cool. Nike Liverpool range. I'm actually on the Nike store. Let's have a look at what they do sell. So they do kits and they do lifestyle. It's all so posh now, isn't it? It's all kits and lifestyle. What else do they do? Right. So I know what the kits are. I don't need to click on that link. What they do, training kits, kids. I want to click on lifestyle because lifestyle has got me intrigued here. Oh, it's actually different kind of shirts, training pants, kids kits. Oh, accessories and equipment. Bum bags. They sell fanny packs. That's the only accessory thing they do. It's predominantly clothes, then, to be fair, that Nike do. But it's a lot of stuff. I'd love to get the figures on the units of this. Jackets, shirts, retros, jogging bottoms. I'd love to see the units. I'm sure Liverpool fans are buying this in their droves. For everyone who buys a Liverpool kit, maybe 100 million units was an absolute joke from me. They've got to be selling 2.5, 3 million units. 2.5, 3 million units, 30, 40 million pound. That's huge. It's huge for a football club. You look at Liverpool's turnover as a football club, right? I want to have a look at the turnover. I'm not even trying to. What is the turnover yearly? So about 500 million in February was the yearly turnover. So if you had 30, 40 million, you had to need 10% revenue. That's huge. Gargantuan. Anyway, we digress. Let's go to some. Let's go to one more call here. I'm going to go to Burton Ballers. What are you saying?
Yeah, hi. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. Who do you support, mate?
I'm a Chelsea man.
Lovely. What's your take on this Haaland news this morning?
Well, a couple of things really. This is stories. All the stories that are coming out are stories that we've already heard. Really, apart from the bit where it said that he wasn't interested in joining Chelsea, and so I think I'm a man I've been around for quite a long time. I'm one of these guys who thinks, you know what, I don't get carried away when it comes to transfers until I see the player holding up the shirt, because a lot can happen. It will be a difficult deal to put off, as we all know. But I think that if this is the time to go for it. We're the champions of Europe, high stock. So I think that we can pull this off, and we shouldn't look at the money really, because if you look at him, he's 20 years old, and Chelsea are a club who are willing to let players move on if they want to. You saw that with Hazard. Hazard wanted to move on to Real Madrid later on in his career. Yeah. So at the age of 20, if we get 5 good years out of him, we can still make a profit out of him, because that's what Chelsea do. They get these young players, and have them for 5 or 6 years, then sell them on to, say, someone like a Real Madrid, and still make money. So this is for Dortmund as well. If you're looking at Dortmund, if 130, 140 million comes in, they'll be silly not to accept, because even if it means missing out on Champions League, how much is Champions League worth to Dortmund? Around 40 million, would you say? 40 million plus 75 million is what, 115 million, doing quick maths. So if they're getting 130, 140, even if they miss out in Europe, they're still making a profit on the guy because of the buyout clause for next season. So, I think, Chelsea stump up the money for him. That'd be a statement signing. And as you saw last season, had we had someone to put the ball in the back of the net, we'd have been challenging Manchester City probably for the league, because we create a lot of chances. We're sound defensively. All we need to complete that jigsaw is somebody who's going to score the goals for us.
No, mate, I could, everything you've said there is absolutely spot on. And as you say, that when they're holding the shirt is when it's completed and when everybody can kind of relax. I think one of the reasons that I do what I do is because I just don't like this sort of. I don't like people just disregard like the element of when I've read all these things. Doesn't want to join Chelsea. He only wants Real Madrid. It's like, no, he doesn't, and we know that because his father went and an agent went on a fucking European tour because he's interested in going to multiple clubs. If he was only interested in Real Madrid, he would have done what Bruno Fernandes did when he decided to leave Sporting 18 months ago and tell his agent, I don't care about anybody else. I want Man United. And if Haaland said that, Chelsea and the agents and the dad wouldn't have had conversations. So I hate reading those reports because then it's not fair on Chelsea fans to know you haven't got a chance. Equally, like, you're not the only team in for him. So even if you offer him what he wants, he still may go somewhere else. But I just like the facts to be put out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the comments that were made about what you said about Chelsea before, that's a nonsense anyway. So if you can sort of look at the situation, because like any footballer now who is 20 years old or whatever, they'll know the history of Chelsea, because in the last 20 years, Chelsea have been the most successful club in England, one of the most successful in Europe as well. So had it been like 30, 40 years ago when it was Liverpool on top and Chelsea were a bit behind, then you can say that, players are not looking at the history of the club nowadays. They're looking at what's happening, because if you look, a lot of these footballers are Chelsea supporters. You've got Pepe at Arsenal, who said he was a Chelsea supporter. The guy you're getting now, Sancho, he's a Chelsea supporter. He made those comments the other day when for England. So there's a lot of people who are looking at the history that Chelsea are making at the moment, and it's going to be an appealing prospect for them. And like you said, Haaland is a brilliant player, so he's going to be exploring all avenues. He's going to be talking to 5 or 6 clubs, and he's not going to burn his bridges by saying he's not going to want to play for one club or another. If that's the only club who can afford him, and he said, I don't want to play for them, then he's got no other options. So he has to widen those options for him to make it possible to go to a particular club. So
I completely agree, and I think that it's as you've just said, there's too much like not nonsense being spoke, but who someone supports the kid. These are professionals. Do you know what I mean? It's like I banked as a child with Halifax, but when Barclays offered me a job, I went and worked there. Do you know what I mean? It's professional. No loyalty. And I guess it's a little bit different. We're very different when it comes to your football team, because there is this love. But one thing football fans never seem to be able to get their head around, ever, is this element of it is the same as when you make a business decision. You might use a certain product that you love and you whatever, and then a competitor of theirs offers you a job. That's a professional decision you're making. Your affinity to that product goes out the window because this is my livelihood, this is my family, this is my career, this is my profession. And that's what footballers do. Jadon Sancho, I don't think has thought once about who he supported as a kid in his decision to join Manchester United. Now, if for instance Chelsea were heavily interested in him, then I do think it would have taken a different turn. I think if Chelsea and Man United were going head to head, then I think the boyhood element plays a small part. But outside of that, it doesn't really matter. People take it as you and I do in nearly every decision we make. It's, well, what's best for me and what's best for my family. We don't think about it as, you know what, as a kid, I much preferred this to that. You know, think about it. I'm going to turn down a 20 grand pay rise because as a kid, that was what I loved. It's just stupid. It's stupid.
Yeah.
No one thinks like that. No one thinks like that.
Exactly, and it's the style of football as well. Supposing that he was a Chelsea supporter, but the football that they played doesn't suit him, and it's the football Manchester United play suit him better. Then he's going to join that club. He's not silly. At the end of the day, they're professionals. So, as you quite rightly said, they're going to make the decision for their career, rather than emotional. Football, it doesn't work like that. As us as fans, yeah, it is an emotional thing, but players, it's very professional. So,
Yeah, mate, I couldn't agree, and it is, and I couldn't agree with you more. It is all about profession when it comes to football players, as opposed to anything else. It literally is. It's like that's just it. It's everything else becomes secondary to it, and people have just got to realize that it's as simple and as straightforward as that. Listen, great call, Burton, mate. It'd be great to have you on.
I love your show as well, mate. Keep up what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much indeed. Cheers. Top man. Thank you. Listen, everyone who has tuned in this morning, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. We're going to be going live again in a minute. Breaking news about Jack Grealish. £100 million bid has been put in. The link, I'm putting the link for that stream in the live comment section. It's there right now. We're going to go live on that in a few moments' time. I'm spamming it. So get yourselves across to that link right now. Smash the like button here, and we'll see you all